Welcome to Brothers of the Word, because, brother, you need the Word. And today, first of all, I did tell you that I'm going to speak today on why I chose to open the church. Now, this is very controversial. We're in a time when a virus is raging through the country, and I'm not sure that we're not the only church in the city that's open today. It's very well possible that we could be, and when I made the announcement that I was going to open the church, I know there was a lot of negative reaction to it. And I want to just take some time today to explain why I chose to open the church. But before I explain why I chose to open it, I want to give you 4 reasons why I didn't want to open it. Number 1, streaming is easier. It absolutely is. All of the staff here, all of the pastors, all of us are saying this is a whole lot easier. Now, I miss seeing all of you. I really, really do. But that's the only negative. Everything else was just so much easier. My first stream I did my green stream at home. Then I was on my backyard out by my lake on the dock. I did my sermon out there. The next one I was up in the mountains. I did the sermons up in the mountains, just nice. Then the last one I did, I was out in my front yard. That hadn't even aired yet. So it was just so much easier. I could do the sermon anywhere between Sunday and the next Sunday. I could do it when I felt like it. When the Spirit hit. When I'm live here in the church, I got to be on stage within a 5-minute window all of the time. I got to drive over here. I got to get dressed. You got a rigid schedule. Sometimes it's easier to just flow. So when we were streaming, the sermon could be edited and I could just flow. It was just so much easier. It took roughly like a third of the energy to do streaming. So number 1, it was easier. So it wasn't like I was just in a hurry. To be honest about it, I was planning on opening the church sometime in June or July. I was in no hurry whatsoever. So number 1, it was easier. That's one reason why I didn't want to reopen the church. Number 2, there was no money incentive. You see, right now, churches, even before the virus crisis, a whole lot of churches were in financial trouble. One of our church advisors that told us they're roughly, and they work with a lot of other churches, they said right now in Atlanta, and this was before the virus, they said there were roughly 200 churches on the verge of foreclosure in Atlanta. That's a lot of churches. So a lot of churches were in financial trouble. And when you go to live stream, and some churches were not even set up for live streaming, when you go to live streaming, as a general principle, your money goes down. Well, number 1, as all of you know, I don't get paid. So my money wasn't going to change one way or another. Whether we had church here or whether we didn't, no matter how the offerings went, my money wasn't going to change. And the church's money, to be honest, we're in really good financial shape. We weren't in any desperation. If we didn't have service and had no collection for months, we'd still be in good shape. We got plenty of money in the bank. We're in real good shape. We've been real good stewards of God's money. So really, we're in real good financial shape. So there was no monetary incentive. And the other reason, most of your real good givers don't stop. I mean, the people who really are good givers, they're giving because they are convicted and they believe and they follow the God's voice when they say, bow your heads and for 10 seconds ask God what all of our real good givers are solid, regular givers, and they didn't change because we were not here in the church. My giving, I'm one of the largest, if not the largest giver in the church. My giving don't change whether I'm here or not. Matter of fact, I have it set on automatic. So even if I'm gone for 3 months, my giving never changes, not an iota. And I don't give based on what I make. I give based on what I want to make. I preached that in a sermon a while ago. I said, you tithe based on what you want to earn. That's what my tithes are. They're not what I earn. They're what I want to earn. So there was no monetary incentive to really start back with live service. Number 3, people were going to talk. I knew that without question. They're going to say, that crazy pastor, what? And I mean, I don't usually worry about what people are saying, but I knew folk were going to say, this crazy pastor getting ready to open up the church in the middle of all this virus mess, this crazy pastor getting ready to open up the church. I knew some folk were going to say it. You always have, regardless, even the most popular president, the ratings generally will never get beyond 70%. I mean, you go all throughout history, even the most popular president, 1 out of 3 folk going to be haters. There's no way around that. It's just no way around it. I don't care what you do. You're going to have some folk that are not going to like, and I could understand the reason as to why people would say that. So it's not without a valid, logical reason, but I knew people were going to talk. And the 4th reason, I did not want to risk anyone's health, because I knew that if you did come back to church, even if we practiced the best of social separation, the best of putting on masks, the best of disinfecting, I knew that there was still a slight possibility that someone could contract the virus just from venturing out to come to church. And I didn't want that on my head at all, that anybody got sick because of anything that I did. So I had 4 real good reasons. It was easier. There was no financial incentive. I knew people were going to talk, and I didn't want anybody to get sick on my watch. So those were the 4 reasons in terms of why I didn't want to open up the church. And I know some of you are asking, well, why did you open it up then? If you had all those good reasons why you didn't want to open up, why did you open it up? I want to let you know something that some of you all might not realize. This is not my house. I'm just a steward over it that has been appointed over it. Now see, where I live, I got the deed to that. That's my house. But this is not my house. Even though the organization has a deed on the building, we have no mortgage on this building, so technically we do own the property, but this is not my house. You all know whose house this is? It's God's house. So I had gone throughout this whole thing, and we actually had a business meeting here at the church on last Tuesday. And it was a Bronner Brothers meeting, and I held the meeting downstairs because we had been holding meetings with conference calls. I said, look, we're going through some stuff. We need a face-to-face meeting. We need to see each other. The space is big enough. We got a space downstairs big enough in the church. We'll meet there. We'll be able to spread out, still maintain social distancing, but we'll be able to see each other. Well, that meeting lasted 8 hours long because we were dealing with some financial stuff because the virus crisis had hit Bronner Brothers hard with income dropping. And at the end of that 8-hour meeting, as I was getting ready to leave, I was standing there in the church, and I said, I wonder when we're going to open back up the Ark. I said, let me ask God. It's been all this time. I ain't thought about asking God anything about when we're going to open back up. I said, Lord, when do you want me to open your church back up? And he said, on the first Sunday of the new biblical month. So I pulled out my phone. I have this little Jewish calendar that's on there that will tell me that the biblical month is entirely different from our regular, what's called the Gregorian calendar, whole different calendar. So I looked up there and I looked, and I looked at it. I said, this can't be right. I said, the new biblical month starts Saturday. That was yesterday. I said, the first Sunday of the new biblical month is this coming Sunday. I said, Lord, you can't mean that. You mean to tell me you want me to open up this church in the middle of all this mess, and you want me to open up this church this coming Sunday? It's not the first time. I've never said this out loud, but it's not the first time I thought when God has told me to do something, are you crazy? I got to admit, I'm just being honest with you. It's not that I sat there and said, oh, Lord, thou art so Reverend, and thou art so all-wise and all-knowing, and thou knowest everything, Father. Thou controls it. I didn't do that. What was running through my mind was, are you crazy? You want me to open up this church this coming Sunday in the middle of all this mess? That's what was going through my head. So trust me, those who said that I was crazy, I was right in there with you on that one. I understood the sentiment, but sometimes God's plan and God's instructions are not ours. And I came in the church that next day. That was a Tuesday. The next day was Wednesday. Wednesday is my Sabbath day. I don't work on Wednesday. I usually go away somewhere. Wednesday is my Sabbath day. But for some reason, I was near the church, and I came into the church. It was right around noon. And I actually laid on the floor with my arms outstretched, and I was laying on that floor right in front of the pulpit on Wednesday. And I heard the door chime. I said, who in the heck coming in here this time of day when ain't nobody supposed to be here? The front door is locked. The back door wasn't locked, but it was pulled up. So I'm saying, who coming in here? So I got up. I went to the back door. I looked out of the window. There was no car but mine in the parking lot. I went downstairs. I said, maybe they came in and went down. I went down. All the lights were out. And the lights were out because no one had been there, because we have motion sensing lights downstairs. And if anybody walks in the room, the lights come on. There was nobody there. I said, this door done open up. Ain't nobody here. Now, some people would have been scared of haints. Some people would have got right on out of here in a hurry when that happened. I came right on back in. First of all, I pulled the door shut, make sure it was locked real good. And I came back, and I laid back down on it, and I said, Lord, he said, son, I want you to know I'm here with you. So I want you to know, for those of you who are here, God's here with us. When you're in his house, when you're obedient to him, God is here with you. So it just shook me with that. But even my next day in prayer, I said, Lord, why do you want me to open up the church this coming Sunday? And God didn't speak to me. He began to show me visions. And I'm going to tell you what he showed me in the vision. He first showed me 4 grocery stores that I had been to. I went to one grocery store, parking lot full. Went to the next grocery store, parking lot full. Next grocery store, parking lot full. Next grocery store, parking lot full. Then I went to Home Depot. Home Depot parking lot full. A few days later, I went to Lowe's. Lowe's parking lot full. And I know you're saying, well, Pastor, those stores are allowed to be open. All of those are essential. And I understand that. Folk got to get groceries. I understand that. But then I was in a shopping plaza where there is a beauty supply store. There was a line outside of the beauty supply store that went all the way down the home. It was way just full of us in line to get into the beauty supply store. That ain't essential. But we were there. So God began to show. Yesterday, I went to Michael's. As I'm walking through Michael's full. So God showed me the visions of all of these places to let me know folk go anywhere they want to go, but they won't come to my house. They got an excuse. They're scared to come to my house. I'm the one who protects them. I'm the one who creates everything. They go everywhere else they want to go. And do you notice, have you noticed the traffic? Now, outside of rush hour is thinner, but because the folk not going to work, they're working from home. But outside of rush hour, I can't see a bit of doggone difference. Folk going somewhere, and they ain't going to the grocery store. So folk are out traveling summer everywhere. But they said, I can't go to God's house. And it got deeper than that. That's just the surface part. This applies to most people. It got deeper than that. And I asked God, I said, Lord, what scripture? And he just gave me one verse. And that verse was James 4:1. It took me a minute to understand that. And the verse simply reads, where do wars and fights come from among you? Do they not come from your desires for pleasure that war in your members? And the next verse that goes behind that is, yet you do not have because you do not ask. You ask not and do not receive because you ask amiss, that you may spend it on your pleasures. Now the thing about it is this. God showed me all of this stuff, and he gave me that verse. And the church was closed. Now, we're streaming, but we've always streamed. We're one of the leaders. We own virtualchurch.com. We were online way before hardly any of the churches. We got over 2,000 sermons online that you can go to and listen to absolutely free at brothersoftheword.com right now. We've been online for the last 20-something years. But what God showed me was this. When the shutdown was imminent. Now, most of you know that my brother James and I, we run a company called Century Systems. Century Systems is a company, we sell predominantly nutraceuticals or health food products to about 10,000 health food stores all across the U.S. And we did everything we could to make sure that business stayed open. We didn't want to shut it down. Now, last month, we were actually expecting for sales to really plummet because so many stores were closing. Some of our big chains, they're in malls and they were shut down, so they didn't order. Some chains called and canceled their order. So we were getting economic injury, but, you all say but. We were getting economic injury, but something happened. We started getting all these new customers. And their orders started skyrocketing. And James and I were sitting there, we said, how can this be? Suzanne came and said, Pastor, do you realize we have just broken an all-time 30-year record and we still got a week to go? And none of us could explain it. In the end of last month, for the first time, Century Systems sales and Bronner Brothers sales were exactly equal. It went through the roof, and we had more sales than we'd ever had in the history of the company, and nobody could explain why. On some of the Sundays before we shut down, we had to leave and go and open the plant and go to work. Now, the plant never opens on Saturday. Nobody is allowed to work on Saturday because it's a Sabbath day. But on Sunday, they went to work. And on Friday, Suzanne came to me and said, Mr. Bronner, we've got credit card sales that are so big, I got to call the credit card company. And a lot of people, when you think about credit cards, you think about it on the consumer end. You know, you got a limit. You know, you got maybe have a $10,000, $5,000, whatever the limit is on your card, and you start approaching the limit. Well, merchants have the same thing. If you have a store, if you have a business, generally the bank or what's called the payment gateway, they give you a limit to how much sales you can have because you have to be qualified, because a lot of times businesses will run cons and they may charge up a whole lot of stuff and disappear. So they have a limit that you can have, just like the consumer that uses the card has a limit, so does the business. Suzanne had to call the credit card company because our credit card sales had gone through the roof. We had one customer had several $100,000 they put on a credit card. I didn't even know you could have a credit card. Go put that much stuff on it. And when she called the company, the credit card processing company said, yes, we were holding up your funds because they said, look, you all are 3.5 times over your limit. When C. Elijah gave the offering this morning, and he said, God will pour you out a blessing that you don't even have room enough to receive. And the man said this. He said, look, we're a national credit card processing company. We handle thousands of businesses. All of our businesses are down during this national emergency, but y'all, what are y'all doing? And the man, people doing some kind of illegal stuff. He said, what in the world y'all doing? How you all 3.5 times up and all of my other thousands of businesses are down? So he said, look, y'all got to send me a bank statement. Y'all got to send me those invoices. And Suzanne was arguing. She said, you don't need to see our bank. Ain't none of your business. We've been in business with y'all over 20 years. You know we solid. You've seen our growth. You know this solid. I said, Suzanne, that's all right. We'll send the man. Because I understand the man, he don't understand what's going on. See, when God is in something, the world can't even understand it. The man said, what the world y'all doing? See, if he was a cursing man, he said, what in the Blake y'all doing? How is this going? What in the world is happening here? So I typed the man the letter. I put him the bank statements there. So because see, what they have to know is they have to know if for whatever reason you're doing something fraudulent and they have to do a chargeback, they have to know you have enough money in the bank to cover all that stuff. So I sent him our bank statements. We got plenty of money to cover all this. I said, look, this is no problem. We send him the invoices to show them the orders. And I put one line in. I said, yes, you said that all of the other businesses are down, but we are up. And I typed out, thank God, exclamation point. But the odd thing about it, when I typed out, thank God, for some reason my autocorrect kicked in. It scared me. And sometimes I see God's hand, and it just be a little bitty thing, but you know, it's like the magicians of England, magicians of Egypt, when they said it's the finger of God. It's a small thing, just a little finger, but you know it's a small thing. I typed out, thank God, exclamation point, and my autocorrect changed it. It changed it from thank God to that's God. It sent a chill through me. I said, whoa. And I sent the letter off just like that. That's God. So he may not understand it, but he knew something was going on that was unusual. But the thing about this is what God convicted me with. It has nothing to do with you. This is what God convicted me with. He said, first of all, I blessed your business beyond even what you could imagine. You couldn't even, James and I couldn't even wrap our head around. See, because we said at least if we had this huge month, last month that's just bigger than we ever had by a long shot, we said it's got to drop the next month. And James was saying, it's going to go way down next month, which is this month. It's going to go way down. It ain't down. And I was real careful not to speak because I done learned the words in my mouth just have power. Stuff be happening based on what you say. So it's an interesting world, but what God placed in my spirit was this. I have blessed you beyond your imagination. You fought like mad to keep your business open because we did everything. We were checking everything. We were making sure we didn't close up. He said, I done bless you beyond measure. You fought like mad to keep your house open. You done shut mine down. I said, whoa! And sometimes when the word of God comes, see, this is the thing about it. And I understand some people are truly, they don't want to go out, like my mother. My mother was 86 years old. Since this thing started, she hadn't been out the house. She hadn't been anywhere. And if you're not going anywhere, then stay in. But if you're going anywhere that's non-essential, and I know you got to go out and get groceries, but if you got your head in that beauty supply store, salons and barbershops are going to open. They opened on Friday. Nail salons. If you got your behind in there and get your nails painted, and then you talking about I can't go to the house of God. That's what I was doing. There was the same risk at the business. I had people in business. I had people in manufacturing, people in warehouse, people in the office. Now, we maintained the social separation. We had people with masks on, but God said you did everything to figure out how to keep your business on. Why didn't you put that same figuring on keeping my house open? And it's so clear. See, that's why that verse, you asked. And you ask amiss. You want all this stuff. It's all about pleasure and money and all this stuff. And when it comes to me, I'm on the back burner. I'm on the back burner. If you can figure out a way to keep your businesses open, how come, and I'm the one who's blessed your business. I'm the reason you're there. If you can keep your bill, why can't you keep my house open? So God dealt with me on this. It got nothing to do with you. And I had to make God this promise. And see, one of the things about the ark, before this virus situation, we had never closed for anything. And I always told the people, I don't care if it's a blizzard, I don't care if it's 10 feet of snow outside. You don't have to call this church to find out if we open on Sunday. I'm going to be here. I got a 4-wheel drive Jeep, and if I can't get here in my car, nobody else can either. But I'm going to be here. And I always told people that. You do not have to worry about this church being open for Sunday service. I will always be here, and I'll be here even if I have to just preach in front of the camera with just me. I'm going to make you that commitment again. The only reason this church will be closed in the future, if the government shuts it down, if the government says we cannot come and we cannot assemble, then it will be closed. I will follow civil authority. But, when the governor of Georgia, when he reopened barbershops, beauty salons, nail salons, spas. He's going to reopen restaurants and gyms tomorrow. And some people say, well, when is he going to reopen churches? Let me explain to you when he's going to reopen churches. He never closed them. He never closed them. Now, he did ask people on Easter not to go, but he never closed them. He said as long as you maintain social separation, he never closed them. Now, the governor he brought everything under one rule because I live in unincorporated Fulton County, work in Fulton County, have to drive through the city of South Fulton. The church is in the city of Atlanta. So he had all these multiple jurisdictions, and every one of them had some different rules. He brought everything under one rule. He said, this is what we're going to do, and it supersedes every municipal and county jurisdiction in the state of Georgia. He said, I'm in charge of this state. This is what we're going to do. Nobody else can do anything more nor less. This is what he's going to do. Now, whether you agree with it or not, he did do the right thing in making everything unified. He said, we're going to be on one accord, and this is what we're going to do. And a lot of people arguing about what he said to do wasn't right. But let me tell you this. You can't judge another man when he's in leadership because you don't know all the facts. It's some states about to go bankrupt. So that sometimes there are other reasons behind this stuff that you just don't see, that you just don't know about. It's like sometimes when you're watching a football game and you're watching the Super Bowl and you hear some football, that coach ought to have known better than that. Why he do that? He should have put this man in. He should have run this play. Ain't never coached a team in their life. Ain't never gone to the Super Bowl. But yet, I'm saying sometimes you can't judge what another man does because you don't know all of the facts. You don't have all of the pressure on you. You don't have all these multiple sides coming at you one way after another. You're just looking at a narrow little part. So you can't judge the decisions that another man makes because you don't generally know all of the facts. And if you had all that pressure on you, you may fold with all that pressure. So I'm not saying what he did was right or wrong, but I am saying he did unify things. And he made everything under one accord. But what he did not do, he never closed churches. Now, I don't know why he never closed churches, but I do know one thing that's not the reason he never closed them. He didn't forget. It didn't slip his mind because folk were criticizing him about it. Why don't you close houses of worship? It didn't slip his mind. He did plead, look, don't go to church on Easter, but he didn't say you couldn't go, and he didn't mandate it in the law. I don't know, but I believe the governor had sense enough not to touch the house of God. I don't know, but I believe he had sense enough not to touch God's house. If you can let any other thing be open, Because sometimes it's our definition of what we think is essential. My personal belief is God is essential. My soul is essential. The church is an essential business. Because if I don't have God, what do I have? So sometimes we don't understand some things, and God really had to correct me. There's no question about that. He had to really, really work on me because I was out of line. I was putting more value, more focus, more emphasis on my business than I was the house of God. And which one of those is more important? Now, some of you got, if your job calls and says, look, you got to come to work on Monday, you're going to be there. You're going to be there. So here in the house of God, and even, I don't know sometimes, I don't even know the reason sometimes, but do you know we had to turn away 7 people today because they had temperatures 100 plus? We turned away 7 people because they had temperatures over 100. And we told them, look, you need to go get checked. They did not know. You don't know why God tells you to do something. Just by turning away those 7 and telling them they need to go get checked, that may save some lives. It may keep them from going somewhere else, infecting somebody else. You don't know why God tells you to do something. Just like you don't know why the governor did what he did. You don't know. God has a scope of vision. And it's not yours to question God. It's yours to obey God and to make sure it's God. And Suzanne asked me she said, you sure that's God? I said, yep. Sometimes I might be, but I know that was him that time. And by the time he got through showing me all them visions and showing me my mistake and my mess and what I was focusing on, I knew it was God without question. So sometimes you can't judge this thing. You have to be obedient. So I do make you this pledge. From here on out, as long as the government allows us to open, we will be open. We're going to check your temperature when you come in. We're going to give you some masks. We're going to make sure you have plenty of 7 shields. Let me tell you some of the truth about this stuff. See, a lot of you all are so scared of this virus. All of the scientists say 2 out of 3 people in America are going to get it eventually anyway. The government is not saying you're not going to get it. What they keep saying is they're going to do what? Flatten the curve. Do you know what flatten the curve means? It means that the people going to get it anyhow, it's just going to take them longer. And they're doing that so you don't overwhelm the health system, which makes perfect sense. But they're not saying you're not going to get it. They just want, instead of you getting it over a 3-month period, they want you to get it over a 13-month period. But it doesn't mean you're not going to get it. So you need to have your mind geared, first of all, to do some practical stuff to make sure your immune system is strong. Half of the people who contract this virus will never have a symptom. You need to be in that half. Now, the 7 people this morning, they had fevers. But half of the people will never have symptoms. So if you know 2 or 3 of the people going to get it, see, I know 2 out of 3 people in America are going to get this virus. And more than likely, because I travel a lot and I go a lot of places, I'm going to be one of them 2 out of 3. Matter of fact, I could have already gotten it and my body could have killed it already. I don't know, but I know probability of likelihood because I just ain't going to stay in the house all day. That's just all it is. I can tell you right now. I'm going to just be honest with you. You all live receipts. Just like you. Matter of fact, when I was in Michael's yesterday, I was in Michael's, and trust me, what I was going to get was not essential. I can tell you that. I was going to get something to put on my phone so I could tell which way was up, so I knew they had all the. That's why that was not essential. I ain't gonna lie to you. I wasn't out for no essential stuff. And a whole lot of y'all been out. I see all these folk driving all during the day. They ain't going nowhere for anywhere essential. I can pretty much tell you that. So I was out in Michael's yesterday, walking down the aisle, and I looked up, and here comes my oldest son. Here comes my oldest son. Here comes Elijah's son, and here comes my brother's son and one of their friends. 4 of them walked in there together. And my son said, we saw your car because my car got this Do 42, so you can't miss it, you know. And I'm thinking to myself, I'm glad I wasn't doing something with somebody I wasn't supposed to be with. I'm telling you. I'm telling you, that's the first thing ran through my mind. I'm glad I wasn't somewhere with somebody I wasn't supposed to be with or doing something I wasn't supposed to be doing. So, and trust me, that kind of stuff mess up more folk than this virus. It really, really does. So I was out doing some non-essential stuff, and they were out doing some non-essential stuff. They weren't worried about stuff at all. And it's a whole lot of folk. So look, if you go out, put the house of God at the top of your list. Give God priority. Now, I understand the streaming, and just like it was easy for me, it's easy for you. But there is a power just in coming into place. There's a forsake not the assembling together of the saints. There is a power. There is a spirit. The Holy Ghost resides in. And when I was here on Wednesday, and I heard that door ding, and couldn't find a human, fleshless body in here, and God says, I am with you. He let me know He's coming into place and He's here. So give God priority. That's the part where He had to correct me with. He said, I wouldn't have blamed you if you'd have shut down your businesses and the church, but no, you kept your businesses open and shut my house down. That was the problem. That was the problem. So the problem oftentimes is our priorities. That here is God who gives us everything we've got, and we put Him not just sometime at the bottom of the list, sometimes we take Him off the list altogether. So He wants us to give Him priority. And I had an email on yesterday, and it's not related to the virus, but it's another example of how God speaks. And this was back in July. I was in prayer one morning, and I heard God speak a name. The name was foreign to me, just never heard the name before in my life. And I'm going to change the last name because I don't want to reveal anything personal. So I'm going to change the last name. And I heard the name just Emily Cannison. Now, I'd never heard that before. It was a strange last name. What is that? So I Googled it. When I Googled the name, it belonged to a young teenage girl in Canada who had cancer. And she had a GoFundMe account that the family had set up to help during the cancer. And I sent them some money. And when I sent them some money, in the description, I said, I was in my prayer this morning, and I heard the name of Emma or Emily Cannison, and I went and searched it and found your GoFundMe site, and I sent them the money. Yesterday morning, this was back in July. So here it is, 10 months later? Here it is 10 months later, and I get an email yesterday morning. I'm going to read you the email. The only thing I've changed is I just changed the last name. And somehow they found me from just putting my name on the donation, because if you Google Nathaniel Bronner, they found me. I just wanted to thank you from the bottom of my heart for reaching out when you heard the name Emily Cannison during your daily prayers. My heart is so full of gratitude for your obedience. You are such a wonderful man of God. That made me feel real good. I just wanted you to know I was struggling at the time when my mother called me at the Ronald McDonald House to share with us your message. We were away from home, family and friends. The enemy was working real hard to shake my faith. I felt at that time we just had everything going against us, and I was alone with my 15-year-old trying to be strong for her when inside I was torn apart. I had just prayed and asked the Lord that I need to know He was still with us and He still had us. Hearing that you heard Emma's name during your prayer just sent chills, and for your message to be delivered by my mother, who does not have a relationship with the Lord, and she couldn't stop talking about what such a blessing. God is our strength and healer. There are so many blessings that came out of Emma's cancer diagnosis and relationships brought closer, but I just hate the journey that she had to endure. A little bit about Emma. She is a beautiful young lady with a zest for life, a heart for people and animals, so kind, many friends, loved school, and was a competitive dancer. She began to have breathing problems and was misdiagnosed for exercise-induced asthma and pulled muscles. A year and a half later, she was watching Grey's Anatomy and self-diagnosed herself. She asked me if I thought she had cancer. I quickly brought her into the hospital, and our worst nightmare became reality. Emma had stage 4 Hodgkin's lymphoma nodular sclerosis, diagnosed in February, and that was February of last year, and today, by the grace of God, is cancer-free. Being on an experimental regimen of chemo, she will need to travel to the Children's Hospital and be screened for the next 10 years. She has to be scanned every 3 months. She is experiencing numbness on her inner right leg near her ankle right now. We are not certain why, but the same doctor again advised us not to worry. Let's see if over time it will disappear. Everyone is in lockdown with this virus. We're in complete isolation as Emma has a large scar in her right lung. The cancer had spread outside of Emma's lymph nodes and into her lung above her heart. I hope and pray you and your family are safe and well. I have always wanted to thank you for your prayers and for your generous donation. You will never be forgotten. Stacy and Emma Cannison. That was a letter I got yesterday. And sometimes you're sitting in prayer and you just hear a name out of nowhere, a strange name, you've never heard it before. You look it up, and God then tells you to send them some money. When I read this email yesterday, he said, I want you to send them some more money, but you will send them this time 20 times what you sent them the first time. I didn't send it to yesterday evening because I had to wrestle with that thing. He told me to send it today. I just waited to the end of the day. I'm just telling you, I have some struggles sometimes with the stuff God tells me, but I remember when he told me before, as I begin to bless you, I will send you to them, not them to you. And I understand, and I had no idea it would operate like this. But he said, look, you need to be a conduit, not a dam. So when God blesses you, you need to be a conduit. It needs the blessings. He doesn't just give you a whole bunch of stuff just for you to dam it all up and hold it all to yourself. You should be a conduit. He blesses you to bless others. And sometimes God will speak a word to you, and it is to help someone else. He'll send you through some things so that you're able to minister to somebody else. Sometimes he'll shut you down so you can minister to somebody shut down, or so you can turn back to him. People, we're open. We're open for business. The Ark of Salvation at 355 Georgia Avenue, Atlanta, Georgia, 30312 is open. We are open. We will be open. And if you decide to go anywhere else that's non-essential, I hope you decide to come to the house of God. Your temperature will be checked. You will be given a face mask as long as it is required. And we will do everything that is medically possible to make sure you stay safe. But we will be here. This is Pastor Nathaniel from the pulpit, live at the Ark of Salvation. And hopefully I will see some of you on next Sunday. Thank you for joining us today at Brothers of the Word, because, brother, you need the Word.